What is up with it? Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of a full game, we're going to be watching a very particular turn on Jonas's metafy where Jonas is playing Blue Doflamingo and his better half Kyle is playing BY Luffy. I think this is a very, very interesting turn. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just watch the turn, listen to their explanations, and then from there I'm going to explain how I think there were significantly better lines. Because I do think it's a really interesting spot, and I think it's great to talk about how, even the best players in the world are not infallible. Like Jonas, obviously the GOAT. Kyle, obviously the GOAT. Um, and even when they are discussing different options while open hand playtesting, no time limit, no need to rush, we can still miss things no matter how good at the game you are. So let's just go ahead and watch this over, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about it.
Let's math it out.
I can go 7, 7, 7, 9.
Yep. And so
You can just counter all the 7s and let this die.
Yep. Okay. So with that, 90 to this.
And you have 9, 10, so I'm just gonna counter out of the 9 and just like give myself the opportunity to be at 1 life and not have to pitch extra cards.
Alright, and then 10 lead.
Yep.
Just gotta go.
I'll take this, find another teach.
Alright, pass.
And you are surviving.
I am surviving, but I am not thriving.
So we got BY as a 7k, 1 lead, 3 cards in hand. This pump
that really
Goofy
makes
is an
it
8.
easy for me to not die this turn, which is probably an important thing.
A hater, chat. A hater.
Alright, pause the video here before Jonas starts taking his turn. If you want to test yourself, think about what you think you would do in this position, what you think the best line is. We know that the BY Luffy has 3 cards in hand, 1 life, 7k. We know that we only have 2k counter total in our hand with the Sengoku, the Teach, the Boa, the Gravity Blade. So you know that you very easily, if the game state is the same here, you could die. You also know that the BY player last turn pitched a brick for leader effect and played a brick in Kuzan. So it's possible that the hand could have any number of bricks besides exactly Gecko, unless Gecko was drawn off of either the Kuzan or the Rocket Luffy. So it is technically possible that there could be 2 bricks in hand. Really, it's possible there could be 3. So just think about what you would do in this situation. The BY did not filter at all last turn. And then we will watch what Jonas decides to do, and then we'll go over what should be done.
The problem is I actually might die to the Sabo if I play it, which is kind of the funniest part. So it might not even be the best option for myself right now. I think I'm just going to start with a 7 and then just kind of see where this goes from here. If you're just at 1 card after all of this, I think I can just work with that. So.
Okay, we'll just pitch the Nami Logger. This card's like a lot worse than the rest.
And then do another 7. And I can probably just like play a Boa and just be kind of content with that.
Alright, we're gonna have to 2k out of this.
Yeah. Okay. And you have 1 card?
1 card.
Okay. I wish I had the perfume right now. I could just do 2 more 7s.
Aha, betrayed.
I have been betrayed. Okay. Nothing really makes sense aside from just playing this in Goku, I think. Getting an extra 2k is probably just going to be enough to just be very functional from here. So I'm just going to try to do my best to do so. And if I find exactly Jinbei, it also makes things functional, I think. So, yeah, I'll take a Jinbei. Okay, so now I get to do a 7 at life, and if you take it, then you just die to teach Jinbei Boa or teach Boa 9. And if you counter, then I get to guarantee kill this Luffy and also put in an active Boa. So that might just be good enough. So let's just do 7 at life, sorry. Hoping you kind of mess things up, but there's a chance.
Yeah, so let's see. So with the 7, we can pitch this card, and then he always has the 8 here, which this dies. But if he 8s here, he doesn't have any blockers unless he has exactly Jinbei thing.
Yep.
But if you have Jinbei Boa anyways, we can't beat it because you get to go face.
Yeah.
So I think I just am supposed to counter and then let this die and then go for lethal this way.
Yep.
So counter.
Yep. And when I'm going for lethal this way, my only real way to win is to hit exactly Gravity Blade out of life. So let's hope it works. Let's just go. Teach, and then go 8 at Luffy, and then go Jinbei Boa.
Okay. So that's gonna be 9. That's gonna be dead.
And none of these really matter. If I played second perfume, I'd stack the crocodile on top. But since I don't really have second perfume, I'm just gonna stack the boa on top as an extra blocker. And you're go from there. 2 cards.
Okay. Lethal time.
Moria. Boom. When in doubt, Moria it out.
Okay. So choose the card that changes this the most.
I'm not sure if it does.
We can Moria be a 7k with 2 life. Oh, and 0 cards in hand, so we're just always dead.
Yeah.
So fake card. Okay. So in a lot of spots in these like Dofy turns, they do have like not too many 2Ks. I mean, he pitched out of the 9 last turn. So we don't know any information about his hand, but like if he ever has a Gravity Blade here, like, or a Josie, but I mean, let's just look at our math first and then kind of do it. So we're going to want like one swing that's 7+, and then kind of divide the rest of our Dawn between the next 2 swings.
Yeah, so it's 8/8.
So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually only 7, 7, 8. Funnily enough.
Ooh, I can survive with a 2K. This is exciting.
Okay, yeah,
you
so...
want something like 6? Is that too greedy for you?
We're gonna speed up here just because this is now the Be Wise turn. And I want to talk mostly about
I mean, let's look at it. So
the Dofy turn. This is an interesting discussion they have, so definitely go watch the full video.
So the 6 as well. So 1-1 loses this way. 2-1.
But basically, they end up discussing
exactly
going 6 first versus going 7 first.
Exactly 2.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 brick.
Yeah. Because like the 6. Oh, the 7 is like also very quite that in the same way. The 6 is
bad.
Yeah, 6 is bad. Yeah,
Right.
The 7 is like very good with 2, which is the thing I want to talk about.
Oh, I would agree. The problem is we have no pivot.
Oh, the pivot's kind of whatever. But like the only reason why you start the 1 with the 7, the only real improvement is my hand's exactly 2, and you think it's the brick.
Right.
But otherwise, the 6/8 is actually just like overall just better, except for that 1 use scenario.
Why is the 6 better?
Just
you
because,
think 2 brick 1 is so likely?
Yeah, I think that's actually quite likely.
So you think just beating 1 brick is good enough?
Yeah, but also like making 1 brick plus 2 like not an out is an issue. Because like 1 brick is a very likely scenario or hand, a combination of cards in my hand.
Right. Okay, brick. Yeah. So weird things. So let's walk back a couple turns. So he had access to the 9-10, right?
Yeah.
And he pitched out of the 9 earlier than the 10, but it's the same number of cards.
Yeah, but I would do that regardless of how many trees I had extra in my hand.
Right, because I don't have a pivot.
Yeah. If you attack 10 the guy, I'm just gonna be happy the entire time.
What was last? It was 9-10 to push you to 1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then your turn was Jinbei Boa.
Yeah, it was Sengoku Sanjin Jinbei Boa. Is that a strength? Is that weakness? I don't know.
I know. I think this is like the closest spot. I mean, obviously we have the information, so like 6-8-8, it's always gonna be lethal, except if it's grab play.
Okay, how
7-7-8. How much worse is that? So if you have 1-1. So how many bricks does the deck really play? It was,
my host is playing 11 at the moment. 4 Boa, 4 Weevil, 2 grab plates, 1 perfume. But some of us play as many as like 13.
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
So we've been like grab plate has been bad for a very long time. Is things to think about.
Yeah.
I think you would have played a Weevil this last turn if you had access to it.
Overall.
I just don't think you would have done all the 7s. No, I guess you
I
might
probably have to.
Right. So do you always have second Boa and Weevil stuck in your hand for this turn?
Not that often, but possible.
Probably. Okay.
The main thing is like one thing I like to think about is when you're putting your opponent to 0, I usually like to make my last 2 attacks like equally large.
Right.
Kind of bad.
I mean, it feels bad doing the 7-7,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I mean, this was an interesting discussion, all things considered. It's quite weird. I'm not 100% sure on where I'd settle in tournament. I think this is like a moment where I tank for 3 minutes and then go 7-7-8.
I love Kyle, man.
Because I have to lay out this line as well. How bad this line is.
And losing, unfortunately.
Right, it is losing. But yeah, like the 688 is like, yeah. I guess it is what it is. Yeah, and just in an effort to play around Houndblades.
Houndblades and no surplus that.
Oh,
Check it out. It's just, yeah.
6.
Okay. And I have to take a hit now in case I hit Gravity Blade, but Gravity Blade's only out, so.
I can't believe it's dead. Like, you find it's talking about this just for me to get
The line I'm gonna talk about is fake. We just always bink the gravity blade. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, baby. Let's go. Better lucky than good. Let's go. Okay, so that is what ended up happening. Yonas obviously won, but I think there is significantly better lines, which we are going to talk about now. Okay, we're going to try this. I've never really tried to do this sort of thing where I'm going to explain the moves without actually like having the cards. But we're gonna try to do it. Okay, so we have 10 Dawn, and we have a couple different avenues we could go this turn. We could try and kill. We could like test to see if they have bricks in hand, and if for whatever reason they show us a lot of weakness, we could then go for the kill. We could do what Yonas did, which is where we pray we hit a trigger, which to me seems like a really poor option, honestly. What we could do is we could Sengoku try to find a Jinbei, so that's gonna be one Dawn that we've used, and then if we find the Jinbei, we can rest 7 for Gravity Blade and take out probably these two. And then what we can do is we can teach effect, putting 2 Dawn here. So we have 2 Dawn left, and we swing 7 at life, and we leader skill, so that's 1 more. Playing out the Jinbei rested, and then playing the Boa standing, and then the Boa will actually give one of our 5Ks a Dawn, and then we'll use the Dawn that we rested for leader effect, and then we have 1 more Dawn, and we'll go ahead and give Jinbei the second Dawn, so we get to swing 2 twice, and we get to establish a blocker. So I think in that situation, we pretty rarely die. I mean, we are going to be maybe in a tough situation if our opponent top decks exactly Moria. But I think this is actually a pretty decent line. Like, if our plan is to eventually play Sengoku, we could do this. The main problem with this line, I would say, is we give up a fair bit of equity versus if our opponent is bricked up, which is super possible because they did draw 2 random cards off of the Kuzan and the Rocket Luffy. And of course, they drew for turn as well. And they didn't filter at all except for their leader effect, which did show a brick. So there actually is a fair percentage of the time where we could kill here. Like, so we don't necessarily need to do that. But the great thing is we actually have guaranteed lethal. So if you look at how Yonas played it, he went 2 here, and he swung 7. And then what that does is that takes a card out of our opponent's hand. Okay, and then if we do that again, sorry, I messed up the paintbrush. If we do that again, we go another 2 here, and then we take another card out of hand. Okay, and then he went 2 more, 1 more time, and then what happened was the opponent took this. So now our opponent is 7k 1 life, and we have 4 Dawn remaining. Okay, so what we can actually do here is a really cute play that doesn't come up too often, but is really good to know, the secret technology. We can rest 2 Dawn for teach, and have this teach go here, okay? And then we can use this teach to get rid of this 2 Dawn and put it on leader. So now we have 2 Dawn on leader, and we'll go ahead and once again swing 7 here. So now that's going to take the last, and when we're going to stack the Boa. And then once we stack the Boa and we play it out, now that's going to use 1 Dawn. So now we only have 1 Dawn left, but we get to use the Dawn that played this Boa, and we get to put it on the teach. So now we have 1 Dawn left, and we have 1 Dawn on Teach, so he's a 4K. We go ahead and we put the last Dawn on the Teach, and then I forgot to mention, we play the boa. The reason why it's important to play this second Teach is because we're going to play the boa over one of these bodies, because these bodies have 2 Dawn on them. So we're going to play the boa over one of these, which now gives us 2 rested Dawn. So now we have 2 rested Dawn. We have 2 Dawn on this Teach, and then now we use the second Teach to give this Dawn here. So now there's 4 Dawn here, and we get to swing 7 one more time. So we get to, basically, if you have a full board like this, if you're able to attach 2 Dawn for a character and establish a second Teach with a boa, you get to generate 2 free Dawn free. I mean, you're going for games, so like you having these extra cards in your hand doesn't matter. But this is something that's super easy to miss because it doesn't come up that often. Like, first of all, you need a second Teach in your hand. But even more critically than that, you need a fullish board because you need to be able to play over one of your characters. So you realistically need like 4 things on board, which in most matchups, end of the game, they're not going to let you untap with that many characters. And then also a lot of the time, you're only going to get 1 Dawn because you're not going to have this boa. This play is still worth it. Even if this boa was just like a random 2K like Croc, or like really if it was like literally anything, it's still that you can play off the top, it's still worth it. The thing is, unless this card is boa or a third Teach, it will only generate you 1 Dawn instead of 2. But it's a really cool niche line. I think there's a lot of things we could have done differently in this turn. Like, we had guaranteed lethal, which is awesome. The Luffy dies, which we love to see. But even outside of that, I think the Gravity Blade could have been a real play, unless we're putting our opponent on exactly Moria in their hand, right? But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about this and learned a cool little unique line. Have a great rest of your day.